What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge Thursday Night Football Live Kickoff Show. I'm your host, Alan Bell. We've got a fantastic one lined up for you today as we break down the Colts at the Broncos, the Peyton Manning War of 2022, even though he hasn't been there for about 8 years. Let's bring in the stars of the show. Get this thing going here. And I want to take a look at my guys. First up, M Squared. My man, how we doing, sir?
We're good, AB. Fired up for another primetime game. I am in the camp that thinks this game is actually going to be a very good football game. We'll see if I'm right or not about it, but I like this game quite a bit. Fun slate. Let's go.
Yeah, man. I'm fascinated to see it as well. Prop stars. We spoke earlier on Twitter Spaces, man. You kind of felt the same thing as Mike. What are your thoughts here, bud?
Yeah, I agree. I think this game could be sneaky competitive. I like where both teams are at personally. I think they both are going to play with a sense of urgency tonight. And I just wanted to do a quick little shout out to our guy, Coach. Obviously not with us. I can't confirm or deny this, but I have heard whispers that he is secretly licking his wounds after an embarrassing Week 4 fantasy performance from his team where I actually overtook him in our season-long points bet. So Coach is sweating, eating this chip, AB, which he's going to have to do live on stream if I'm able to maintain my points advantage versus him.
Sorry, so it's the points advantage at the end of the fantasy season, regular
Correct.
season. The loser has to eat that chip. And show the chip again. What is it's one of those Pocky chips?
It's a Pocky chip, a $10 chip. I believe it's 1.7 million Scovilles, if I'm not mistaken. Turns your tongue blue. I've heard people had to vomit afterwards. I've heard people have been stuck on the toilet for up to 24 hours. So very much looking forward to Coach eating this chip.
Well, let me tell you this. That thing would kick my ass. I want nothing to do with that chip whatsoever, but I'm fascinated to see how this thing goes. All right, everybody, here are the rules for tonight. First, we need 500 likes to see the Goose and the Donkey parlays, both of them. 500 likes. We got to get there. We're already, 450 live viewers. It's going to continue to go up. Make sure when you come in, hit that like button on mobile. Just pull it down, like, put it back up. You're in the chat. You're good to go. Drop questions in the live chat. We'll do our best to answer those. We've got the two best guys on the planet in regards to doing that, whether you got questions and plays on spread, total, prop bets, anything, you name it, man. We're going to break those down. Spam the live chat with your best bet for tonight and tell us in the chat who you think is covering the spread tonight. So, Mike, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. We're going to get to our best bets here in just a minute. But you spoke out. Yeah, so we've got Colts at Broncos. Broncos a 3-point favorite, a total of 42. All right, so you think that we're going to see a pretty good game tonight, man? Like, you don't have to go through the entire thing, but just kind of the game script, like, in your head, why do you think that we're going to see a good one tonight?
For a couple reasons. The Broncos have not been as bad as the results have indicated in terms of touchdown variance. They really haven't scored as many touchdowns as the data indicates they should have based on how many yards they've accumulated. They're playing at home. And then on the other side, not having Jonathan Taylor in there, the Colts should be throwing more. Anytime you're throwing a little bit more, it introduces a little more variance into the equation, more opportunities for penalties to be called. You think about a run play, right? Typically a running play, what you see for a penalty is going to be a holding penalty or a face mask, right? You add in a lot more throwing or predictably more throwing. There's more opportunities for defensive penalties, whether it's offensive holding, defensive holding, pass interference, all of the things which can lead to increased variance in the spot. That's what I think we see when you're not running the football as much. The clock is stopped a little more. Just all these things that I think lend itself to a competitive football game. So, yeah, I like a competitive game. So my number on the game is 4, and that's giving a lot to Denver. It doesn't really take a ton away with Jonathan Taylor, but it's mostly about Denver and expecting some positive touchdown regression on them. I haven't played it at 3 or 3.5. I'm not on a side in the game. I do have a little bit of a lean on the total, though, which is kind of interesting because it is definitely the opposite of the market and the opposite of what everybody else has been looking at. So my lean is to the over at 41.5. This game opened at 43.5. That is where I think the number should be. I think the market was pretty correct, or the book was pretty correct when they opened this market. It's been bet down and to the point where I think there's a tiny bit of value on the over with about 70% of the tickets and money coming in on the under at this point. It's also worth noting, if you watched the early edge this morning, Maestro broke down the ref crew for this game. Very, very, very strong over crew, one of the strongest out there in the National Football League. Adding in that, and then knowing the fact that we should see more throwing, which leads to higher variance outcomes, I personally like the lean on the over in this spot.
Yep, I love it, man. And great reference in regards to Maestro in his breakdown of Brad Rogers, I believe, in his crew. Yeah, absolutely. Now, prop stars, we just spoke about it, a little while ago. One, like you said, like you pretty much agree, with Mike in regards to that. What's kind of the game script in your head, whether from a team versus team perspective or just props all over the field? Like, how do you see this thing breaking down?
Yeah, I think Mike hit the nail on the head. Both these teams are going to be without their starting running backs. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, the hope from Indianapolis' side is that he misses this game. But yeah, Javonte Williams was lost for the season from Denver's side as well. So I think out of necessity, both these teams have to play a little more up-tempo than we're used to, coupled with the fact it's a short week. So yeah, I expect both these teams to come out aggressively. I think both are going to lean more towards the pass than the run. Denver's also been I think they're the number one pass funnel in the NFL this season. And when you couple that with the fact that Jonathan Taylor is inactive, I just think out of pure necessity, the Colts are going to have to throw the ball a lot. And then if you look at the other side of the matchup for Denver's offense, versus this Indianapolis Colts defense, the path of least resistance is definitely going to be through the air. This Colts defense is second in rushing DVOA. We know there's no Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon is going to be the primary back tonight. So I just think Denver is going to find more success throwing the ball tonight. I think both teams are going to end up with a lot of passing volume, which certainly lead to I lean over on the total as well and think we could potentially have a competitive game.
Yeah, so when you say second DVOA, and Jeweler, please leave those official picks. We're going to jump into that right 1 second. Excuse me. When you say second in DVOA, you mean second best in regards to run defense, correct?
Correct, yes.
Perfect. All right. These are our official picks that we have across the SportsLine and Early Edge fam for this game tonight. Let me run through real quick and then let you guys hit them. Our man Zach Simony is on Michael Pittman over 66.5 receiving yards. Alec Pierce under 34.5 receiving yards. Jacob Fettner is on Naheem Hines over 3.5 receptions. The Maestro, he's on Zaire Franklin, Colts linebacker, over 8.5 tackles and assists, plus Naheem Hines over 3.5 receptions as well. I am on Russell Wilson over 20.5 completions. Broncos kicker Brandon McManus over 1.5 field goals. Matt Ryan, Colts quarterback, over half an interception. And then one that I found that I really like that's interesting on DraftKings, Colts and Broncos both to score 15 points or more. Minus 140, a little juice there, but I agree with the guys, man. Like, studying it, last night and this morning, putting in picks. I think it's going to be a pretty good game as well. As a site play, we are on Colts plus 3.5. Okay, so those are all those. M squared. You're on Cortland Sutton over 64.5 receiving yards. Break it down, man. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm on Cortland Sutton over 64.5 yards. This one is interesting here. What's going on for me, in my opinion, is the market, the books, everyone have not really caught on to how good this guy is and how much Russell Wilson needs someone like him that can go up and get a ball, has a little bigger catch radius than Jerry Jeudy. Not that I don't like Jerry Jeudy. I love him in this spot as well. I just think both of these numbers are a little too low. I've got this number for Sutton all the way up to 77. I would play it up to 68, 69 if you have to. The good news is you don't have to. This thing's moved anywhere. It started at 63, up as high as 67, back to 61 for a second, kind of settled in the 64, 65 range. So there's definitely pretty strong opinions on both sides of it. But for me, the number's just too low for the skill set that he has. Not to mention, I think that they're going to find some success through the air. I don't think they're going to have a ton of success running the football against this Indianapolis team. Expect the game to be ultra competitive in this spot. But just love everything that I've seen from Cortland Sutton. Only 52 yards in the last game, 5 receptions, 70 on 7 targets. Every other game so far with Russell Wilson, we've had 72, 122, 97. Looking back at some of the other games in his career, it's been shaky game log because he's had very unstable quarterback play his entire career. Now that is not the case. So like I said, I think this is a guy that's routinely going to be up there in the top 10 in the NFL in terms of their player prop yardage week in, week out. And we're just simply not seeing it yet because we haven't had a large enough sample size. I like the spot for him at, like I said, pretty much any number here.
Now, Mike, I got a question for you, man. Like, and this could be dumb for sure, and I'm not, expecting you to break out, a full explanation on it because I realize that it can take time. But when you're looking at, you just said like Courtland Sutton, right? Like, so you see him 64.5. You see it when you make the play, right? And you just said, according to your model, your data that you've crunched, you have him at 77, right?
Yep.
So that's 12.5 yard difference over. That's why, obviously you like the over on that. Like for any of us who are looking, kind of doing our own research here, like where's the line of, okay, I'm absolutely playing this. Like when you have a number like that of 77 as compared to like 64, like, is there a certain percentage or anything that you look for to where you're like, okay, now I'm rolling with it, or it's too close, it's too risky, I'm not messing with it? Does that question make sense?
Oh, it makes sense. It's a complicated answer because it depends on the player, it depends on the game script that I'm projecting, and it just depends on the number, right? So like 10 yards difference on something that's 20 yards versus 100 yards is still a big difference. And right here, if I have 10 yards on a guy that's north of 60, that is a significant edge, in my opinion, just because he's got the volume most likely that's required to be able to get like this. And then we're also looking at some of the historicals and looking for those spike games that really indicate that he's capable of doing this, right? So then you need to look at the quarterback change, all of those things. But it's large. The number is very relevant, obviously. But in this individual case, too, it's just about the opportunity, right? So he's got 28% target share, 40% of the air yards from Russell Wilson. Absolutely incredible numbers. Do I think 40% is sustainable? I think it probably drops closer to 35, 32, 35, and Jerry Jeudy starts to earn a little more of them. But at 28% target share, anything north of 30% in the air yards, this number is simply too low.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. Like, I realize that, like, that's an answer that you could, like, probably take an hour breaking down, like, fully. But that was great, man. I could listen to you and Props talk about those things like all day long just because it's such a good look at it. And speaking of Props, throw it over to you, man. You're on Jerry Jeudy tonight, over 50.5 receiving yards, man. Break it down.
When you look at his route participation, you look at his snap count, both of those are elite. He runs a route on nearly every single Russell Wilson dropback. He plays well over 90% of the snaps. I mentioned earlier the Broncos are going to be without Javonte Williams tonight. He accounted for 16 targets through the first 3 games. I feel like Jeudy is set to absorb some of those targets. Also, if we look at how condensed this Broncos target distribution is, all of the targets are going to Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. So yes, they are more than capable of both eclipsing their receiving lines tonight. I also like Courtland Sutton. I think he's a very good play for everything Mike mentioned. But yeah, I also think this is a good matchup against the Colts defense. They play a ton of zone. They mix in a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 3 defense as well. Jeudy has fared very well throughout his career against zone defenses. The Colts are also easier to attack through the air than on the ground. I mentioned the Colts being second in rushing DVOA compared to 27th in pass defensive DVOA. So I often talk about the path of least resistance. That is certainly going to be a Denver attacking this Colts defense through the air. I believe Jeudy and Sutton will be the biggest beneficiaries. I also think Stephon Gilmore could be matched up with Courtland Sutton at times, which is an advantageous spot for Jeudy to be in. I like that this line is discounted. I think with Judy's route participation, getting him under like 55.5 yards, it's like an automatic play. Then when you couple in the fact that this is an advantageous, good matchup on paper, it's just like an auto play for me.
There we go, man. I'll tell you what. Those are our official plays. Everybody, thanks so much. We'll put them back up here in just a little bit. Go over that again. But I'll tell you what, I want to stay at Courtland Sutton really quickly. And either of you feel free to jump in and answer this one. Let me find it in the chat here. 1 second. It was Courtland Sutton. Gosh, I just lost it. Sutton, longest reception, over under 24.5 yards. Either of you feel free.
I'd lean over on it. He's a big play threat. He makes a bunch of big plays down the ball or down the field. Anytime he's in a one-on-one situation, he just has tremendous body control. He's able to catch the ball at its highest point. So certainly I think Russell's going to take a couple deep shots to him. That being said, this Colts defense does do a good job of keeping everything in front of them. So I do think that it's not necessarily the best matchup for Sutton to go over this particular prop. I do expect Sutton to be heavily involved, likely flirt with double-digit targets, eclipse his receiving line and his receptions line, but I just think this particular angle may not be the best one to attack. I much prefer the way Mike is choosing to exploit it through the yards.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense completely. All right, so really quickly, like I want to break down. All right, and also, yeah, I'm glad that Juler just put that up. We are about at, 330 likes, somewhere around there. We need to get to 500. So everybody that is in the chat, please hit the like button right now. If you're on mobile, pull it down, hit the like, pull it back up. You're good to go. 500 likes. We'll have the Goose and Donkey parlays from both of our guys here. So the biggest story, or the two biggest stories with these teams, is that we have offenses that aren't really performing this season as to what expectations might have been. Not that expectations were the Chiefs and the Bills, right? But they're not living up. We just saw the points per game numbers there that are both horrific. But on top of that, coming into the game tonight, both teams have lost their starting running backs. Okay, so you guys went and broke down, like in terms of, the wide receivers and the plays that you have. I'll tell you what, Mike, you pick which quarterback that you would like, either Matt Ryan or Russell Wilson, and then props, you take the other one. And what I mean by it is this, like, how is that going to affect the team in regards to, the passing attack, the backup running back or backs, handoffs, short passing game? Yeah, Mike, I throw it to you. You take Matt Ryan or Russell. You get to pick first. What do you got?
I'll take Russell Wilson just because I believe that he's still a little bit better than what we've seen. I know he's been awful at times, but I do like him in this particular spot. He also has a pretty strong history against Gus Bradley, defensive coordinator on the Indianapolis side. 450 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the 2 games. So he's thrown the interceptions, put the ball in the air. As far as missing the running back, there were times where I thought he would throw to Javonte a lot more, and then there were times where he obviously threw to Javonte. So I don't think it's going to be a massive, massive loss for Russell Wilson personally. I think that he can throw to Melvin Gordon, he can throw to Boone, but I think it's really just going to simply be about finding Cortland Sutton, finding Jerry Jeudy. I also think we've seen it the last 2 games with Russ. He's finally looked to run just a little bit more to extend a drive, to extend a third down conversion, things like that. I think we see a lot more of that from Russell Wilson tonight as well. And I think I believe we see a game that reminds us that Russell Wilson is still a decent quarterback in this league. Could be very, very wrong on that, but I don't think the loss of Javonte has much of an impact on Russell Wilson other than it likely makes his numbers look better.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love to see him get to 21 completions or more. That would make me very, very happy. All right, props, throw it over to you. Same question, but the other side, Matt Ryan and this Colts offense, man. What do you see?
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected Matt Ryan to be an upgrade over Carson Wentz when you looked at him. But I think there needs to be both these guys, and this applies to Russell Wilson as well, deserve a little bit of time. They're playing in a new system, new coach, new offense. It takes time, especially when we see a condensed preseason where these guys aren't really playing much in the preseason. So I think as the season kind of progresses, both quarterbacks are going to play better than they have, at least in the early parts of the season, as they sort of work out kinks. And as far as Matt Ryan tonight, I do think he's going to have to air the ball out quite a bit. I think this is also not necessarily a great matchup for him, but Denver has been the biggest pass funnel as far as their defense is concerned. So I think he is going to air the ball out a lot tonight, which is why I like a lot of his volume-based props. I really like his completions. I mentioned this on the Prop Shop Twitter Spaces show earlier. I opened a position at 19.5 completions. I believe the number is 20.5 right now. I still think it has a lot of volume there. I think out of just pure necessity, not having Jonathan Taylor, they're going to have to throw the ball quite a lot. We're going to see a lot of short area passing to Nyheim Hines, to Michael Pittman, a lot of slants over the middle of the field. And they just have a lot of kind of secondary, tertiary, complementary players. They use a lot of rotation, a lot of bodies at tight end. I think all the tight ends are going to be mixed in. You're going to see the rookie Alec Pierce. You're going to see Paris Campbell mixed in. So I think you're going to see Matt Ryan kind of focus on both Pittman and Hines and then spread the ball out a lot. But I expect a pass-heavy approach from this Colts team, from Matt Ryan, and I really like attacking his volume-based props, which is going to be his attempts and his completions. I think there's a very good chance, depending on the game environment, if kind of what Mike and I are suggesting ends up coming to fruition, where both these teams do come out and pass a lot, are more aggressive, we see a lot of points, then they're going to sail over pretty much all these volume-based stuff like attempts and completions. So that's definitely the angle I'm choosing to attack personally.
There we go. Excuse me. All right, so we are at 490 likes. We are 10 away. 10 away. So everybody in the chat right now, please hit that like button. If you haven't, let's get to 500, get the goose and the donkey parlays. Okay, so we've got multiple questions in the chat, and we're going to do it almost game show style here, all right? I'm going to read off a couple of them, okay? And then you guys feel free to jump in on any of them that you like or any of them that you severely dislike, right? One way or the other, okay? So let me look here. All right, Michael Pittman over 5.5 receptions. That's from our man Houghton Classic, all right? So Michael Pittman over under 5.5 receptions. Russell Wilson over 10.5 rushing yards at -135. Matt Ryan over 33.5 passing attempts. All right. And the last one that we had, just those three. What are your thoughts? So I'll read those again. All right. So Matt Ryan over 33.5 passing attempts. Oh, this was Melvin Gordon, 62.5 rushing yards over under. Russell Wilson, 10.5 rushing yards over under. And then Michael Pittman over 5.5 receptions.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned why I like attacking. Out of all those props, I'd say my favorite is the Matt Ryan attempts. I do think we're going to see Ryan air the ball out a lot tonight, which is why I like attacking him from a volume-based standpoint. So I like that the best out of those mentioned. As far as Russell Wilson's rushing prop, I don't have a strong lean either way. I'm curious Mike's take on that. And then as far as Michael Pittman receptions is concerned, I definitely lean over on that. He is going to face a lot of Patrick Surtain, who has been shadowing the opposing number one wide receivers. So that is a difficult matchup, but I feel like Pittman is good enough, capable enough, and Ryan will lock onto him enough that with double-digit targets, which I do feel like is very likely tonight, considering this game environment, he's going to go over that 5.5 line. However, I would say it's efficient. I don't have a strong play on Pittman's receptions. And then as far as Melvin Gordon is concerned, that's been a really interesting prop I paid very close attention to since he opened actually at 50.5, sailed all the way up to about 58.5. Then the Latavius Murray news came out that he would be inactive. We saw Gordon then sail up to 64, 65.5 at one point today. Then he's been bet down into the low 60s. So I do like Melvin Gordon tonight. I think the 62, 63 number is fairly efficient. However, loved him when he was in the low 50s. I do think he's going to see 13 to 15 carries. With Latavius Murray inactive, it's going to be the Melvin Gordon show. I do expect Boone to mix in, obviously. He's going to be playing on some passing downs as well. But Gordon is going to be the primary ball carrier on first and second down. He's certainly a capable back. I feel like they're positioned well. This is an area of depth for them to overcome the Javonte injury. Is it a drop-off? Yes, but Melvin Gordon is still a very good back. He can hold on to the football. I think he's going to be certainly a viable option for Denver. So lean over on that. But out of all those props, definitely the Matt Ryan attempts is my favorite.
Oh, let me say this. And Mike, I'm going to get your thoughts 1 second. What I love about you two is that when I ask for one, answer, and I'm not saying at max, I'm saying, hey, let's just try to get one. You dogs answer all of them. That's what is fantastic about you guys. So I'm going to throw the same thing over to you, Mike. It looked like you agreed with props on Matt Ryan. I
agree with them on Matt Ryan. Look, I mean, he's the lowest attempts he had this so far in a game this year was 30. And that was a game they got shut out against Jacksonville. Every other game, I'm expecting a more competitive game here. So yes, like the over attempts there. I wouldn't be shocked if the attempt number was closer to 50 in this game, depending on how ugly it gets for him. And just given the weapons that they're working with. So I like the over attempts there. Melvin Gordon, I think the number is efficient where it is. It's a lot of what Proppy said. I'm very confident he has enough carries to get there. I'm very confident he rushes for 50 yards in this game. It could be a 120-yard day for Melvin Gordon. That wouldn't shock me at all either if he finds success. He's going to have all the opportunity in the world in this one, so I don't mind it. Pittman, I'm staying away from Pittman. I think that we haven't seen the Broncos do this a ton in the past, but I do think we see a little more intentional coverage from Surtain on Michael Pittman in this individual situation, especially if he's got 1 or 2 catches early in the game. So I think that the 5.5 is tough because the thing about Pittman, this guy can have 5 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown and smash everything, and you're stuck holding the 5.5 ticket. There's still a number of weapons that I think get distributed the football tonight on the Indy side.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. I appreciate you guys. Now, look, in the chat, all right, our man, Jason Kane, you were driving, and you asked how far the guys would take Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy up to. And I'll tell you what, Jeweler, if you could put up the best bets really quickly, we're reaching the top of the hour. We have reached 500 likes, so we are going to get at the donkey and the goose parlay here in just a second. But I want to make sure that for everybody new tuning in, we hit our best bets. And also, Jason, we take care of you on the road. Drive safe, buddy, and we'll answer those. So before we get to you guys real quick, Zach Semeny, Michael Pittman, Colts over 66.5 receiving yards. Alec Pierce under 34.5 receiving yards. Jacob Fettner, Naheem Hines over 3.5 receptions. Maestro, he is on Colts linebacker Zaire Franklin over 8.5 tackles and assists, as well as Naheem Hines over 3.5 receptions. I am on Russell Wilson over 20.5 completions. Broncos kicker Brandon McManus over 1.5 field goals. Matt Ryan over half an interception. And the Colts-Broncos both to score 15-plus points. Price at -140. Site play, Colts plus 3.5. Okay, so, Mike, I'm going to throw it over to you. And to answer the question, so you're on Cortland Sutton over, what was it, 66.5?
64.5 on Cortland Sutton. You can find it at 63.5 on FanDuel. It's 67 with -135 juice on Caesars.
And how high would you take it as well? And I'll get anyway.
Yeah. I play it all the way up to 68 here. Some number is 77. Want to keep as big an edge as I possibly can on it. So I'm not gonna tell you to go play it all the way up to 75 here. It does indicate that you can play alts on it, but if your number at like -110 is above 69 for some reason, just hold off on it at this point. So that's where I'm at on it. Love Sutton in this matchup.
There we go. All right, prop stars, you're on Jerry Jeudy over 50.5 receiving yards. So break down why you like that, and also same question, how high would you take Jeudy up to?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I just think Jeudy, anytime you're finding him over 55.5 yards, even under 60 yards, with his route participation, with his snap count, he's just a really attractive play. He runs a route on pretty much every single Russell Wilson dropback. He plays over 90% of the snaps. The Broncos and Russ also have a very, very condensed target distribution. All these targets go to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Now we're seeing another guy who accounted for quite a few targets, and Javonte Williams, no longer active, injured, obviously out for the remainder of the season. I think that's going to condense things even further towards Jeudy and Sutton. Also, this is a good matchup against the Colts. As I mentioned, 27th in passing DVOA, 27th worst out of 32 teams. Also, they play a lot of zone defense, which Jeudy has been very good throughout the season. So this is a good matchup on paper for him as well. I like it quite a bit. I'd personally play it up to 53, 54.5. So, yeah, I like Jerry Jeudy quite a bit tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I hope that he's wearing his necklace tonight when he scores. All right. You guys have earned it. You hit the 500 likes. I mean, you guys come through. I say it all the time. The Early Edge crew is the best in the game. I don't care what sports betting show that it is. You guys crush all of them, and it's the truth. So you guys got it. Here we go. So, Jeweler, let's throw it up. Mikey, you go first on the donkey. Props, follow up on the goose, baby.
There it is. All right, so story on the donkey here tonight. DK still has a boost of 10% for every leg. So we're not going 12 like last time. We did hit 11 out of 12 last time. We're going 10 here. Get the 100% boost plus 3,400. It is a $50 maximum bet. So that's what we have here. Cortland Sutton over 59.5 receiving yards. Jerry Jeudy over 44.5. Melvin Gordon over 44.5 rushing yards. Then this is where it gets fun. We're going Broncos plus 6.5, Colts plus 13.5, over 32.5 points in the game, under 28.5 points in the first half of the game. Mo Alley Cox over 14.5 receiving yards. Naeem Hines 3+ receptions. That is a win with a third reception, not an over. And then Alec Pierce over 19.5 receiving yards.
There we go. Now in the chat, really quick, Brandon Rincon, don't you fret, my friend. I have something special coming for you in regards to that at the end. All right, prop stars, throwing over to you. The Goose, 7 plays plus 525. What you got?
The Goose is loose, AB. And let me just say that it's a little daunting next to Mikey's plus 3,400 same game parlay. I love his same game parlay. But yeah, I'm a little bit more conservative on mine. I'm going Melvin Gordon, anytime touchdown. I think he's got the best shot of any player, offensive player in this game, skill position player to score a touchdown tonight. So I'm choosing to build my SGP around him. Then we've got the Broncos over 13.5 points. We've got the Colts under 28.5 points. We've got Matt Ryan to throw for over 195 passing yards. Russ to throw for over 170 passing yards. Melvin Gordon to finish with at least 45 yards on the ground. Mikey has that one as well. And then Jerry Jeudy, my guy tonight, over 35 receiving yards. Put that all together. Pretty conservative, but it's plus 25 odds.
There we go. All right. Now, I'll tell you what. So this game starts at 8:15 Eastern. We're going to get out of here a little bit early to give you guys time to get these bets in, get set up, get all of that. But the most important thing that we do on these shows is the Van Jefferson Memorial. All right. And what this is, if you're new to the Early Edge and our live shows, we have a game that we play at the end of each one of them. Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, to where we, each person, and absolutely you in the chat as well, you try to select who is going to score the first touchdown of the game. The only rule is that it has to be plus 1,000 or more. And if you win, you get in the club. We only have one in the club so far this year, and that is Larry Legend Hardstein, the maestro himself. He's been in the club for like 4 weeks. I don't know what his tab looks like in there. He might not even be drinking. What's the drink? Props?
Manischewitz.
There it is, man.
He had BYO, so he had to bring some in and just,
So, yeah, Maestro's the only one in. So, we're going to do that right now. And you know what? I'll tell you what, Mike, you were the first one that ever hit it, ever. You go first, bud.
All right, we're going to go with Mike Boone here, plus 1,000, as chalky as you can get, at least in terms of the price point per our rules. Look, he's backup running back here. Melvin Gordon's going to have all the work he can handle, which means when Melvin Gordon breaks a 26-yard run down to the 5, he's coming out of this football game because he just ran the ball 3 plays before that as well. It's Mike Boone in the red zone tonight. Everyone that has Melvin Gordon is going to be frustrated. Don't worry, he'll get his second touch. He'll get the touchdown on the second drive. But it's Mike Boone tonight, plus 1,000.
There we go. Now, we've also made history. This is the first time ever that all 6 people, like, we've gotten like doubles, right? So you see Mike Boone, prop stars, me and him are both, we'll let him break it down. And then Jake the Snake and the Jew, let him break it down. But you see it. Like, so if we have one hit tonight, 2 people are getting in. So props, I'm going to get out of your way, man. What you got?
Yeah, Michael Pittman, as soon as I saw him at plus 1,100 odds, just had to take it, even though you called him first, AB. I just think this guy is one of the true alpha wide receiver ones in the NFL. I think he's going to have a massive target share. He does pretty much every single week he steps on the field, coupled with the fact that I think he's due for some positive touchdown regression as well. Only 1 receiving touchdown this year. I think he's going to be the focal point of the Colts passing attack, which Mike and I mentioned all throughout the course of this stream that we think there's going to be quite a lot of volume tonight. So, yeah, I think Pittman's going to continue to be first, second, and third look for Matt Ryan. Has a great shot of getting quite a few red zone targets, and hopefully we do that on the first drive. AB, you and I are in the club tonight, joining the maestro. He pours a little Manischewitz for us, and yeah, all is well.
There we go. All right, so there's no way that I could break it down better than props just did. I'm just going to say I'm also on Michael Pittman. Now, Jeweler, pop on, because you were speaking for you and Jake the Snake. So first off, looking sharp as always, sir. And I believe codes as well that you have? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if we can hit 750 likes, I got some Madden codes that I'm going to drop into the stream. It'll be on the bottom of the stream, so you got to watch on the scroll. I dropped in that last episode. Some people didn't notice it. They missed out. Jake the Snake, and Jacob the Jeweler. The Jacobs we're getting in with Mo Alley Cox. We're just going to ride the hot hand, right? I mean, he came off that killer week against the Titans. 2 touchdowns, 80-something yards. Broncos pass funnel, right? That's the narrative that's been happening all night. I was paying attention on the props stream today, and I heard Proppy mention Mo Alley Cox. He says he's kind of fool's gold this week. He said, that he's only good for like one game like that a season. We're buying high. We're buying high at Mo Alley Cox, and maybe it's going to bite us. Call me the village idiot. That's what we're going with.
I love it, man. Well done. Okay, so as the jeweler just laid out, you got to hit 750 likes, and you're going to have to do it in the next 4 minutes here. But before we jump out of here, all right, let's go over the goose and the donkey one more time. If we could throw that on the screen. Mikey started off with the donkey. What you got?
Oh, you're going to make me read through it all again. Here we go. All right. Cortland Sutton, over 59.5 receiving yards. Jerry Jeudy, over 44.5. Melvin Gordon, over 44.5 rushing yards. Broncos plus 6.5. Colts plus 13.5. Over 32.5 points in the game. Under 28.5 total points in the first half. Mo Alley Cox, over 14.5 receiving yards. Nyheim Hines, 3+ receptions, and then over 19.5 receiving yards for Alec Pierce. For those wondering why the same game parlays are so big the last 2 weeks, it's because they offer ridiculous odds boosts for them. I get 100% odds boost on this to hit plus 3,400. When they stop giving free money, I will bring them back down to 7 to 8 legs. But until then, as long as we get 100% odds boost on them, I'm going to keep playing them like this because there's no reason not to.
No reason indeed. Prop stars, hit us with the goose, bro.
Yeah, so we've got a smaller one, lesser odds, more conservative, built around Melvin Gordon, anytime touchdown. I like to build these same game parlays around an anytime touchdown score and then choose to attack it with really obtainable alt lines because really, if we can get this Melvin Gordon touchdown, we've got a pretty good shot at getting this. So first up, we've got Melvin Gordon touchdown. Then we need over 14 points from the Broncos, under 28.5 points from the Colts tonight. Matt Ryan to throw for at least 195 passing yards. Russell Wilson to throw for 170. 45 rushing yards or more for our guy Melvin Gordon. And then Jerry Jeudy over 35 receiving yards tonight. Put that all together in a same-game parlay stew, and you get plus 525 odds.
That's a stew I'm in on all day long. I like it. All right, Julia, throw up our best bets. Go over that one more time. And you guys have about 1 minute to get to 750 likes. But I'll say this. Could possibly put those on Twitter during the game. We'll see. M Squared is on Cortland Sutton over 64.5 receiving yards. Prop stars, Jerry Jeudy over 50.5 receiving yards. Zach Simony, Michael Pittman over 66.5 receiving yards. And Alec Pierce under 34.5 receiving yards. Jacob Fettner is on Nyheim Hines over 3.5 receptions. Maestro, he is on Zaire Franklin over 8.5 tackles and assists. And Nyheim Hines over 3.5 receptions. I, Alan Bell, am on Russell Wilson over 20.5 completions. Broncos kicker Brandon McManus over 1.5 field goals. Matt Ryan over half an interception. And the Colts and Broncos both to score 15+ points. Side play, Colts plus 3.5. All right, boys. About all the damage we could do. We got to get out of here. Let everyone have time. Sorry, I mean to say just guys. Let everyone have time to get their bets in. Any final thoughts that you guys have? I'll throw it to you guys in regards to the game, in regards to something you're looking forward to this weekend. Anything, man. Props, I'll start with you. What do you got, bud?
I'm looking forward to hopefully Austin Eckler scoring another 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, there we go. M Square, what you got, man?
I'm looking forward to big days for Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton as we cash our props, and the donkey and goose both hit. They were both 1 leg short on Monday, and we're going to make up for that tonight.
There we go, man. I love it. All right. So for everybody, it's all the damage we could do. Thank you so much. We'll be live tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, normal time for the early edge and all of our shows on Friday. But until then, best of luck. It's Cashy's tickets tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.